Alright, so hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Dev with me, which is me. So today we're going to take a look at our final part for our note application, which is um, developing our own OAuth system. Okay, so with the OAuth system, we're actually going to develop two API, vanilla API's application programming interface. In this case, you could just imagine gonna send some data, and then we're basically gonna say, gonna implement something like they could get users information and they could get a note from that user. But let's take a look how would the API work, for example. So this is like how the real application will look like. So you could just click on this application thing, and then first you need an application name. It only accepts one redirect URI, and it needs a logo. So application name is going to be demo. All right. Actually, you know what? It's fine. I'm just gonna use the existing. I'm just gonna create one demo, and it's gonna be another localhost because I actually have another Flask localhost running that does basically what's gonna happen. And then let me just choose a logo, random image from nowhere. I'm just gonna choose this Discord logo here. Submit. Alright, so now you can see I see this little Discord image upload to our S3 and displayed here. So now in here you can see I get client ID, client secret redirect URI. For now you cannot edit, so it's like minimize simple. So now what you can do now is you can go to /authorize, and you can put client ID here as well as the redirect URI to confirm you're actually the person who's using it. And then you can press enter. Now you will see something like this pop up. Hi, Boyan Liu, which is my name. Do you want to authorize your account with demo? The thing. And then here I can just click on authorize. And then now it said refuse to accept connection for some reason because I stopped this application. And now if I let it run again, you can see it's gonna give a code. And then now I can use the code to access the API. And in fact, this time I'm accessing this API. /API/user, and then you can see now my information pops up, my Google ID. I don't think that's important, so I'm going to show it here, my name and my profile picture here. All right. Okay, so let's take a look how to implement that. And then the process for implement this is just like regular. It's just like really like anything, like basically like a really basic OAuth system, where you would go to authorize, and then it's gonna give you a code. You can change the code's access token. Then you can use it, put the access token into the headers. We make a request, and then you could then you can access the API stuff like that. Okay. All right. So let's take a look and we add this then. All right. So we're gonna see how much we can do because it's gonna be a pretty huge part. So the first thing we're actually going to do is we're actually going to see how can we actually implement an app. So we need to actually enable user to create their own application. So here I'm just going to say we're going to create a new route. And then here I'm just like /app. Okay. And I'm going to terminate. So that's the example. This is like the actual source file. I'm going to leave this here for now. Okay. So now here I'm just going to define applications, and then if request dot method is equal to post, otherwise methods equals to get and post. Alright, so if request dot method is post, then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and upload the image. The image equals to upload as 3. Remember, we also always put the request here. And then we'll say generate client ID, which is a random stir of 25. As a client secret, a random stir of 40. The client secret needs to be a little bit more secure than client ID. And then here I'm going to say something like this: while true, see that underscore equals to c dot execute. Select star from apps, which we didn't actually create this table yet, where client ID equals to ID, or client secret equal to sec. And then here I'm just gonna provide ID and then secret. So basically are checking, do we have this client ID and client secret, okay? And then I'm just gonna put it here inside of the loop. All right. And then here I'm just gonna say dot fetch all. And then here just gonna say if length of underscore is indeed equals to 0, that's mean we don't get the row. I mean we're good to go. We're just gonna break out of this loop. Okay. And then here, then what we can do is you can run c dot execute, insert into apps, user ID, name, image, client ID, client secret, redirect URL. By the way, there's another disclaimer I forgot to mention. This is what I think OAuth process underneath the hood looks like. Maybe it's not like necessary how it look like, but I mean it does the job of OAuth somebody. Just like GitHub OAuth, Google OAuth, but obviously not as secure as they did. But there's some feature that we can add. So, and then values is ID name, image, client ID, secret, the URI. Okay, and then first of all, for the user ID, we can just get it from session, and the name of the wait a minute. All right, and the name of the application, we are going to be able to get it from the form, request.form.get name. And then here we can say something like image, which is going to be the image that we did here. We're also going to have CID, which is client ID, sec for client secret, and we're also going to have a URI, which is request form.get URI. Alright, and then in here I'm just going to say con.commit, and then in here I'm just going to return redirect. Alright. And yeah, I'm just gonna implement HTML template in a little bit, and I'm gonna try to keep it under 30 minutes or so because this can get overwhelmingly huge. And then otherwise in here, first we want to get the apps. So yeah, I can say apps equal to c.execute, and then in here we can say something like this. Oh, it's running for some reason. Should keep running. So in here I can say c.execute. Select star from apps where user ID equals to user ID. And I'm gonna put a user ID here, request session to get user ID. And then here we want to say .fetch all. So we want to get the existing application that the user might already created. And then here we just want to say return render template app.html apps equals apps. Okay. Cool. So now let's go implement this respective templates as well. By the way, I'm not really care about the design, the look of it. So if you really care about that, you can take a look at my source code, which is over GitHub. I'm gonna link that into description down below. Alright, so now this is our app. So now in here we're gonna say a simple templates. And then first of all we're gonna say for A in apps. And then to keep it even more simple, I'm not gonna even bother to actually parse it out. I'm just gonna say here. And then, but the important thing is we need to be able to create a form method, which is post. And then here, I'm just gonna say something like this. Input text is going to be name, placeholder, application name, text, and then here just gonna say, see, is there any other thing that user need to provide us? A redirect URI, so it's gonna be a URL, and the name gonna be URI. And then if you don't know redirect URI is, it's basically like where should we redirect user to once they authenticated. And then here I can say, I can go and create a file. So where they can upload their file. Name is going to be image, I believe. Just double check. I'm gonna delete these key after video anyway, so no worries. Yeah, image. So image ID just empty. Grid type equals to submit. And here I want to add ink type as well, which is multi-part form data. So basically enable us to actually submit a file. Sure. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look. Yep, I think now it works. So now let's go to 0.0, now 0. 127.0.0.1 colon 5000, and then we can go slash app. Now here's table, exactly. I forgot about that completely. And then to make it simple, I'm just gonna create using graphical GUI. Unless I want to do it in the complicated way, which I can try. Try to do it in the complicated way. I'm just gonna do it in a quick IPython here. And then here I can just say con equals to SQLite3 connect db.sqlite3 equal to con.cursor and c.execute create table. Let's see if I remember. Okay, so we need ID. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do this. The primary key is the hardest thing to do. So I'm just gonna open this up in a graphical GUI. And wait a sec for it to open up here. Okay, so I'm just gonna create another table called apps. We're actually gonna create a lot of tables. I'm gonna create at least four table actually. Create 4 different table. Now this is different stuff. Alright, so in here we're gonna say apps. And then I'm gonna add a field, ID. This is a primary key. And then auto increment as well. User ID is gonna be integer. Name. The image is gonna be a text. Client ID be a text as well. Client secret gonna be a text as well as our redirect URL, which can be a text as well. Okay, right, changes. Great. All right, let's see. So now, just to make sure. Yeah, everything looks good to me. Let's go try that again. Yep, now I can, let's see, try to create our application. First, OAuth app. Redirect URL. I'm just gonna put the same one here, which is this 3000 thing. And then I will share that code down below as well, or maybe as a zip file this time. I'm gonna upload the sun this time. Submit. All right, great. Now we see a tuple. Actually, whoops. Let's see. I made a mistake. It shouldn't be text. The user ID shouldn't be text. I forgot about that. It should be. I mean, it should be integer. Should be text. Now you refresh. Just delete the whole row. All right, let's try demo. This 3000. Choose a sunny picture again. But this, by the way, this picture. Whoops, not this PDF file. These pictures are actually from FreeCodeCamp's one of the coding challenge, a weather application, I believe. All right, there we go. So now we can see our application name, client ID, and client secret. Good. So now I want to implement, let's see how many time do we have. We have like roughly 15 more minutes. So now we'll actually implement the process of authoring a user. We'll see how far can we get done to that point. So in here, we'll say app.route. I'm gonna say /authorize. Gonna accept both both get and post. Start from using like a mix of single quote and double quote. And then here I'm just gonna create authorize function. And then here I'm gonna say if request the method equals post. Otherwise, all right. So here is how it's gonna look like. So client ID, as we see, it's gonna provide it in URL. So you can just get it using arts, and the key is client ID, and then app equals to c.executes. Select star from apps where client ID equals to ID. ID is client ID. So try to get, do we have that app at all, to check whether we have like incorrect application. And then let's see. There's actually a problem with the code that's on my paper. So in here, I'm just gonna say if length of the app equals to 0, I'm just gonna say return invalid client ID. Alright. And then otherwise it is valid. What we're going to do is we're actually going to generate a unique code. So while we're on this, I'm just going to create another table where we'll go ahead and have OAuth codes. App ID, which can be integer. User ID, can be a text. And then code, so text as well. Right, changes. All right, now let's see. So in here, I can say something like this: c.execute. Okay, OAuth code is one. We need to another table. It's called user app. So the idea is once user authenticated once, it don't have to authenticate twice. So you don't have to ask like user's permission. Do you want to OAuth with this app? Since there are OAuth, we can assume the user wants to. So we can create another table as user ID and app ID. All right. Okay, I think sometimes I cannot even understand my own code. For some reason, let me just take a brief look at it. Okay, this is where the else part is. Alright, okay. So let's see. So this part's a little bit confusing actually. We're actually gonna say this. Just gonna say insert into user. So we're actually gonna do this. Yeah, for now, just gonna do. Actually, no. We're just gonna select first. We're gonna select first. Okay, it's kind of hard for me to understand as well. Okay, so let's see. Insert into user app, or the user ID and app ID. And the values of these will be provided here. Okay. User ID, app ID. And then user ID gonna be get user ID. App ID is gonna be app 0 barca 0. The app ID. Okay, because I'm trying to read to understand what am I doing here. Should really comment my code a little bit better. Okay, let's just do contact comment here. So now we're just go ahead inserting so that into user app. So later, when the user try to authenticate again, they don't they don't have to ask for that permission screen anymore. You don't have to see the permission screen anymore. Okay. Let me just take a... Okay. And then in here we can say this is for the post part. Okay, this is where the post part is. Okay. Notice I didn't add here because we can assume it is because we're implementing the post. So when the form actually gets submitted, so like the form, which is like authorized. Oh yeah, so the user initially gonna have to get. Yeah, that's probably why I implement this part. All right, so now I'm gonna give a OAuth code to the user, to the developer, and later send it. So I'm gonna say code equals to random stir 50. So they could use this code to get an access token to access the user's information. Here, just gonna say underscore c.execute. So it's far from all codes. Code equals code. Code equals to code. Fetch all if length founder or equals to 0. And then just break it out of it. Loop, and then here we can just say something like this: c.execute. Insert into, by the way, you haven't noticed yet, these are all SQL queries. App ID, and then user ID, code. Values is ID, user code. Alright, and then here we're gonna add values. So ID user code. ID is app bracket 0 bracket 0. This is basically like the primary key ID. User, again, session.get user ID. And then code is code. So the code that's again get the access token. Contact comment. And then finally we're gonna return them into app bracket 0 bracket 6 because that's is index where the redirect URI is. And then I want to go ahead and substitute a parameter, and the code is going to equals to code. So we're actually going to give them a code back as well that they can use later. Alright, so that's about it I'm going to do in this video. Again, let's do a quick recap what we did. First of all, we implement this feature where you can create your own application, and then we implement the post part, which is usually is the post part going to happen when the user click on that authorize. So you recall that when I do a demo, it said, do you want to authorize to use your do you want to authorize this app basically? And you click authorize, and this is like the post part of it. This is like the post part of this. And then literally implement the get part, which is what gonna immediately happen once the user visited our application. But well, thanks for watching this video. If you like it, please smash the like button and subscribe button as well. Thanks for reaching 48 subscribers. Again, I will have a huge surprise when I reach 100 subscribers. We're almost halfway there. But thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. And as always, stay safe.